Bahasham Kadash Rakah, the water Yahawa, the water Yahawa, Bahasham Yahawashi, Shalaki Yahawa, for my sins as I cry. Baba Gashai Yahawa, for your mercy all the time. Rakatha Yahawa, Bashim Yahawashai. Rakatha Yahawa, for Yasharala all the time. Water Yahawah, for the akim that you supply. The water Yahawah, for the aquaf that comply. Kobalo Yahawah, Bashim Yahawashi. Shalom, shalom. It's your brother Obadiah Yahweh. And, her usual father, Yahweh, through Yahawashi, has given me the opportunity, and I feel so humbly fortunate and blessed to come and bring his word, as we should. Those of us that are predestined to do such a thing, and in the manner and way that we are to do it. So I am extremely humbled and appreciative of the opportunity to do that. We, he's been vexing my my spirit and soul as I experience all of his foundational control over all creation, in the manner in which we are exposed to his righteousness, and at what particular level of righteousness we can actually participate in, if any at all. And I think that it's something that we strive all together to try to match up with Hamashiach, Yahawashi Hamashiach, matching up with Yahawashi Hamashiach as much as possible. Not saying that it is actually feasible to be completely close and in complete alignment with Yahawashi Hamashiach, but our striving efforts are important for us to try to get to that point, to strive to be in that in his wheelhouse at all. You definitely want to I want to get my salutations out to the hopeful elect, House of David, of course, 144,000 of those individuals that have been predestined before the foundation of the world, and to offer my admiration and respect to the apostles who have been diligently looking to present the mantle of knowledge and information in a respectful, accurate manner, since those portions of the awakening of the brethren of the chosen have been laid forward. And of course that includes the bishops and elders and the associated men of the Lord at whatever level. So we give our salutations to them for their diligence in risking their lives, going out and speaking on behalf of the individuals that the Father predestined and chose before the foundation of the world. And that is including the scattered around the world that look like the rest of the nations, but of course they are explicitly still the seed of the chosen people. So we can definitely get those salutations out. Father has given a very interesting lesson that's going to cover a bit of things that are important. I think that a lot of times we need to focus on trying to clean up our presentation of what was given to us before the foundation of the world, in terms of understanding what stages we're in, what scheduled stages we're in reference to the way the Father has predestined and laid everything out to the end. The title, and of course we know that that title in itself that the Father gave me to bring forward definitely in the actual image that I presented, that he had me present, because one thing that we should be assured of is the fact that our Heavenly Father is in control of all things at all times. And when he led me to understand that the glory of him, of Yahawaah, is concealed. He's very covert in the way that he operates, but even though he's covert, his activities become manifested in an overt capacity. And then, of course, as he expressed, being the fact that the glory of Yahawaah is concealed, but the honor of kings is to search it out. And in that scripture in itself, it explains a lot for us as individuals that have been diligently trying to search out the concealed portions of what the Father has brought to our attention in terms of what we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to be presenting his truth. So in lieu of that, the lesson title, of course, is Bahasham is sending. Bahasham, when in the name is Bahasham, of course. Bahasham in the name is sending Yahawashi, our Savior, sacred name. And are we clued in or are we clued out? Are we clued in or clued out? And we're going to identify those aspects of that in Scripture in reference to what we understand and construe as being clues. And, more or less where would we go to find that is in the book of clues. What people and a lot of individuals who have been influenced and presented the scriptures call it the Bible, even though it's not mentioned and called the Bible in the actual book. Bible just meaning book, right? We refer to it as the book of remembrance. We have the Pentateuch, the Torah. We have a couple of different names that circle around the actual understanding of what it is that we have been presented with, and in the manner in which we've been presented in all of the information and content and context in the book is his law. That's his law in a format that was presented in the capacity that we are living in right now through this prophetic timeline and the schedule of things that will be fulfilled. And in that schedule, once those things are fulfilled here on earth, in earth, as it has been dictated in heaven, the next level of transfiguration, transformation, rejuvenation, regeneration will take place, and we will have been upgraded. Everything will be upgraded. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. So I want to get into some portions of the conversation in reference to that, and I want you to go with me. But before we start, I'm going to hit scripture, and I normally try to start going from the Old Testament, so to speak, to the New Testament, probably in reference to the lineup that the Father gives me, and also probably in reference to the order upon which things have been going in the prophetic timeline. So it makes sense because when the apostles of that walk around with Yahawashi and of that ministry period, they didn't have a New Testament. Okay, they had Yahawashi, the walking New Testament, basically, in terms of he was referencing in everything from the old, which old doesn't mean like it's of no value. Old just means of a historical position that it was applied, which was prophetical, and then now we bring it forward into the truth of what we're presenting to also validate each portion. The old validates the new, and of course the new validates the old in terms of the two testaments, as like in two covenants. The old covenant validates the new covenant, and the new covenant validates the old covenant. Okay, so if you can receive that, same covenant belonging to the same people, orchestrated and set up for the same people, as is the Old and New Testament. All of the other religious practitioner organizations and or whatever you want to call them, they are loosely based in the Book of Remembrance, in the Torah, in the Pentateuch, based on their involvement in this prophetic timeline. They're loosely based on that, okay? That's why the book, our scriptures, Bible, as you may say, do not condone or offer any religious practitioner organized belief system saying that that is who the Most High and Yahawashi are as ruling Yasharallah power and entities that have done the creation on all things in the world. They don't condone or say that they are Christian. They don't say that they are Muslim. They don't say that they are Buddhist. They don't say that they are no denominational fractions at all. That particular portion is put in there by the Most High through Yahawashi and angels for the portions of leading astray other nations that are not of the chosen lineage that are going to receive the level of upgrade that the Israelites will get going into becoming the sons and daughters of Yahawaha. Point blank period. But let's go ahead and dig into and talk about something in terms of what's happening. But we got to do a little scripture here, so get me my foundation specs on. You know what I always say about that? Got to get your foundation glasses on so you can see what's going on. Anyway, I'm in Matthew chapter 13 because this is like one of the pinnacle places in the book of scriptures of remembrance here, where we know that the Most High has sent Yahawashi to reveal the clue process, whether you are clued in or clued out. And no place better to start than Matthew chapter 13, okay? Because that is where Yahawashi spoke to everybody in terms of that in parables. But let's read it, and then we're going to get through this, and then we're going to commentary a little bit more, just to tighten up some things in terms of the clue in and the clue out portions of what it is that you're supposed to be navigated with and navigated through. All right, Yahawashi. And now again, Mark chapter 4, 1 through 9 also gives you the same depiction from Mark's perspective and Luke's perspective in chapter 8, 4 through 8. So, but 13 was like cold red letter, okay? I'm not saying Luke and Mark weren't, but here we are. Yahawashi teaches in parables. And in parables, during this particular time, did he not teach mostly in this area? Okay, so he says, in the same day, verse 1, in the same day went Yahawashi out of the house and sat by the seaside. And great multitudes were gathered together unto him, so that he went into a ship and sat and the whole multitude stood on the shore. And he spake many things unto them in parables, saying, Behold, a sower went forth to sow. Now, there's a lot of individuals that will start to hear how Yahawashi is presenting information that is very valid in terms of offering where we're going into how we're going into and getting into the kingdom of heaven on earth, not in the sky floating around on a cloud. Right? So, parables, right? Parabolic speech. Okay. 4. And when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them up. Some fell upon stony places where they had not much earth, and forthwith they sprung up, because they had no deepness of earth. 6. And when the sun was up, they were scorched, and because they had no root, withered away. 7. And some fell among thorns, and among thorns sprung up and choked them. But others fell in good ground and brought forth fruit, some 100-fold, some 60-fold, and some 30-fold. Who hath ears, let him hear. Let him hear. Now, again, I say this, all right, and I'm saying this with a grain of salt, which is sort of like another clue or parable. Okay. This particular rendition of what we call parabolic expression has been interpreted in many different ways by many different people, who some say that they had the Kadash Rakah, the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, the Spirit Holy. Some say that they speak from a scholarly perspective in terms of what they believe their psychological capacity to divulge a hidden truth. But there's a lot of different attributes that speak on this level. But the thing is it what the Father has given us and told us, which is most important in reference to how his word is to be expressed? That's what's important. Because, you got to look at it this way. A lot of people who claim to be in the Spirit, or have the Holy Spirit, or have the Kadash Rakah or the Ruach Kadash, they see portions of what they believe are the Spirit, but it doesn't pan out in their total activities and delivery of what the truth is. In other words, they don't stand on anything. They can see some things, but they're not operating in it. Okay? So a lot of what you need to take from the fact that when Yahawashi speaks in a parabolic method, he's going to give an explanation, which we're going to read next here. But at the same time, the explanation, when it's delivered by various different individuals based on who taught them and where, when I say who taught them, I mean who was given the truth and proper introduction to what the truth is, or to what should be taught and not what should be deceived. Okay? Like, a lot of times I listen to my brothers and they bring forth an explanation of who taught them the truth. Now, fair to Midlam, in other words, I'll be fair. I wholeheartedly believe that the Most High does indoctrinate certain men to introduce his truth to other certain men, but it all stems from a foundational perspective in terms of what and who is going to be providing you with that introduction to the truth. Okay? I do believe that when that particular portion was allotted to men who we have now in our presence, I have not been able to identify anyone else except for the apostles of Great Millstone, based on accuracy in terms of the diligency and the accuracy and the I would say the faith-based ability to stand and deliver in spite of all extraneous opportunities and situations that come their way. I see Johnny come latelys and come alongs that try to imitate but can't propitiate the truth in the manner upon which they were given that portion of the mantle. No one's perfect. They're still always a work in progress, because a day with Yahawashi, the Lord, is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is as one day. So in essence, it doesn't matter how many years you hear that you've been performing to the Father. It may have merit with the men who the Father has sent in terms of what they are being taught. But that would put us all way under accuracy in terms of, if we want to measure it against time that you've been in this truth, and know what level of time you have that has made you as scholarly in a biblical perspective as possible. It doesn't matter if you've been in it for a minute or if you've been in it for 10 decades. The portion that Bahasham Yahawashi gives is his grace, which is sufficient. And if he put you in it and he kept you in it before the foundation of the world, you are to be respected if you are bringing the accurate truth. If you're not, then he's doing that to you, because he's doing it to everything that's going on anyway. And we'll clean up some things like that in reference to our conversation as well. Let's get the explanation, starting at 10. And the disciples came and said unto him, Why speakest thou unto them in parables? Now, they're asking why he's speaking to the multitude in parables, but clearly they don't even know how to decipher this parable either, because they got to be including themselves, because nobody of the disciples that was there said, oh, by the way, Yahawashi, I know what you're saying. Can I interpret the parable for them? No, none of the disciples stepped up and offered that opportunity, because they also are going to be educated on what the parables are and what the clues are. So they're going to be clued in, because right now they're clued out, just as we were clued in and clued out. All of us that were in the religious practitioner belief systems that are permeating, this entire world system, we were clued in and clued out based on that. If he brought you out. Now, a lot of individuals are still clued out. They're not clued in. Some of them think they are clued in, but you can tell basically by what level of understanding they have for a personal relationship when it comes to the Father, the Heavenly Father, and the Son. Most of them don't know his sacred name. And a lot of them are in a position where the Most High puts such a spiritual blockage on them, a spirit of slumber and stupor, they don't even care, okay, what his sacred name is and how important that is. That's a whole nother lesson to go into, because he takes down entire empires just for not getting his name right. Look at Egypt. All I can do is say that, and then we can keep it moving. So I'm saying, bottom line is real simple. Clued in and clued out. If you don't stick to, lean on, stay on the sacred name Yahawaah and Yahawashi, you are definitely in the line of the clued out people, as I have also spoken about, and we will touch this in 2nd Ezra chapter 14 about the 204 books that Ezra and 5 scribes given by the Father wrote 204 books and saved the 70 for last. So the other 180, they're dealing with the unworthy and the worthy. Case in point, hint, hint, clued in and clued out. That's pretty easy to understand, and we'll touch it. But Yahawashi is going to explain the parable. And he answered and said unto them, this is 11, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. Clued in and clued out. Okay? 12. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. Okay, that makes sense. But whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away, even that he hath. 13. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing the truth, see not, and hearing, they hear not, neither do they understand, which means they can't even do it. They can't even do what it is what's being said and taught to them. Now, this has a lot that can impact just in that precept alone, because we have a lot of high-minded, arrogant, self-indulged, narcissistic Hebrew Israelites who believe that they are so pious and so holy, and that no one can clearly touch them at the level that they are. And their humility is like a vapor. You can't even hardly tell it that it's there. But they'll claim they have it, and they'll say it right on down the line, straight to your face. But you don't live it. You don't see them living it. You see them say it, but they don't live it. Just like Yahawashi said, they don't understand. If you run around and you're so proud, your pride, that you believe that the Most High is only working with you and nobody else, and you say things that allude to the fact that you are the ones and nobody else has what you have in totality, what do you think the Most High thinks about that? Mainly because I say this, to me, it's a very blasphemous way to operate, because when you act like Yahawashi is not dealing with anybody else, how does that match up when he's the author of a faith he's the author and finisher of a faith? He's the author and finisher of all faith, any action, any creation. There's nothing that Yahawashi is not in control of and dealing with. He's dealing with everything. Because if you say he's not dealing with someone or something in creation, then doesn't that make whatever he's not dealing with the ability to have more power than him? And if you don't clarify what you mean when you make these kinds of statements, I could say you sound crazy, but what do you think you sound like when you're saying that the Father, Yahweh, and his control over Yahawashi and the angels, who has set everything up before the foundation of the world and is in complete control of everything, is not dealing with something? Now, if you want to go into validation and say there's a portion of the understanding that is the doing as well as the saying, and in that process, the Most High himself as told Yahawashi and the angels to spiritually block this person to make it seem as though nothing's being done with them. In other words, they're just in a state of suspended animation in terms of any actual truth. Now, if you want to break it down and give someone an understanding of that, then that's fine. But do you do that? Or do you just make blatant statements from not really spiritually mature mental thought and just say the Lord's not dealing with you? Because somebody that's even stupid can say, well, if the Lord's not dealing with me, who's dealing with me? And if you say that one of his angels that he's in control of, like Satan, is dealing with him, there you go again. So you mean Satan got his own plans and programs and he can do whatever he wants to deal with people, but Yahweh, Bahasham Yahawashi can't do anything about that? When he works for the house of the Most High on the left-hand side. If you haven't been taught that, then okay, you need to go get taught that. There's information out there. Plenty of brothers have done things to equate and elate on that situation. Bottom line is, why would you say that? A lot of things are coming out of people's mouths that are coming from the unstable lust in their mindset that the Father put there, because he's doing it, he's doing everything, that project things that an individual may want and they may perceive that they should get, but in actuality, they don't have any evidence that they're going to get any of it. And certainly, if you plan on getting it from a fallen state capacity that's set up to be completely toxic, I'd like to see how you work that in. As I had wrote down in my notes here, I said here that need to be spoken of. You will not migrate prepared and applied fallen state laws and commandments into the new kingdom covenants in the new immortal eternal bodies. Let me say it again. For the people that maybe have a little more wax in their ears, who are in the front row of dumbass university, you will not migrate what the Father prepared for the foundation of the world and applied to the fallen state on this earthly plane, the laws, the commandments, into the new kingdom covenants in the new immortal eternal bodies. Do you get that? Can you receive that? You ain't migrating this toxic shit into the new covenant and kingdom. You ain't cleaning it up, and he ain't cleaning it up for you. Point blank, period. All this is going to be changed. And your bodies are not going to be the same as they are here. Now, in this toxic fallen state, prophetic timeline and capacity. Your bodies ain't going to be like this in the new covenant and new kingdom. So these rules and these laws for this toxic period in this fallen state cannot apply over there. And you ain't migrating them. You have no authority and ability to do that. So the shit you come up with that say you're going to get it over there in the new kingdom on earth, in earth, as it is in heaven, which is perfect rules in heaven, which will rule everything on earth. This toxic shit here that we're going through now, you ain't migrating that over there. And you can't prove to me or anyone else in scripture that you are going to migrate this toxic shit over there. Because to the contrary, the scriptures tell you that it's not going over there. And we don't need it. Why would you need it? When you have a new spiritual, righteous, immortal body that could never die, eternal body, that's not going to be the same as the people you rule over of the other nations that are going to be servitude. So you ain't the same as them. So you can't even deal with them in that capacity. So their rules and how they're going to be ruled is not how you're going to be ruled. Hello? The ruling of the other nations by the sons and daughters of Yahawah, because the Israelites that came over through this period of prophetic timeline and passed over, they graduated and they accepted the upgrade. They stopped talking shit about, oh, we're gonna be the Israelites and we just gonna rule. No. You don't want to accept the upgrade? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying that you want to have the same kind of shit you got going on right now in these bodies with this toxicity and all this bullshit, and you don't want to go to the upgrade and become sons and daughters of Yahawah, rule over these heathen nations with the rules of righteousness and immortality and the power that is necessary to rule over them and teach them? You want to keep this shit and migrate it over into the new kingdom? Is this what you're trying to tell me? Well, you can't, you're not getting that. And why would you want it? Why? I'm down with the upgrade. I'm looking forward to becoming a son of Yahawah, of that priesthood. I love my Israelite badge. I ain't got a problem with my Israelite badge, that heritage. We earned it while we were here, right? Go through our predestination process. But I'm down with the upgrade. Are you down with the upgrade? Or do you want to still try to migrate this toxic shit over to the new covenants and new kingdoms? You need to change your language. And your moral compass in your mind needs to understand that you're getting the upgrade. Just like, my brother Manak Zappa always said, I'm turning from GMS, South Carolina, Elder Manak Zappa always talks about when people talk about, I ain't an Israelite no more. How you going to say that if you really are? You can't just throw it away saying, I don't want to be Israelite anymore. I don't want to be Hebrew Israelite anymore. See, they're definitely in the way in the back of the class of Dumbass University. They way back there. Okay? Because that's where the Most High put them at. All right? You can't just say you don't want to do that. And the same goes for the fact that when the upgrade comes for those that have been predestined before the foundation of the world, what you gonna tell? You gonna tell the Most High, I know I'm predestined before the foundation of the world. I read the scriptures, but you know what? I really just gonna roll with what we have here in this world right here, and just bring all this over. Can we bring all this over with us? No. Listen, even if you want it, it don't work, because it doesn't work for the new upgrade that you become. The new upgrade you become, these laws, these toxic capacities, these functions that we in these dark come on, these chains of darkness that we're in, these suits, these meat suits, and all this stuff. You're not going to have these kind of meat suits to deal with these laws and these rules in this manner. This doesn't apply in that manner. All that has to be changed. These toxic laws and rules, if you can get your mind around it, don't fit you when you become immortal and you go through the regeneration. They don't fit. You can't get that? Anyway, it's like, boy, I mean, some of the worldly children of the world can understand that. It doesn't apply at all. And why would you want it? Again, you will not migrate prepared and applied fallen state laws and commandments into the new kingdom covenants in the new immortal eternal bodies. You ain't going to be able to do that. And stop wanting it. And stop asking and talking about doing that. Because number one, Yahawashi is going to be put in charge when his father makes the earth his footstool. And when he's here, because he will be here, along with King David on the throne, and 144,000 governors, and they will all be upgraded. And they will be immortal, and they will be eternal rulers, and they will not deal with the heathens on the same level. Don't let me have to cuss your asses out because you can't seem to get it. And your apostles basically, and the elders of the apostles taught you this. When did it slip out of your mind where you just became stupid? Anyway, we'll continue reading what Yahawashi is saying here. Okay. And like I said, he gave an explanation, so we know that part is correct, okay? All right, he's telling you what happened. 13, therefore speak I to them in parables, Because they seeing, see not, and they hearing, they hear not, neither do they understand. 14. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Elias, which saith, by hearing ye shall hear, and that's, and we know that's in Psalm 78. Hear and shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see and not perceive. How much of that are we dealing with? You ain't perceiving, are you not perceiving what I'm trying to tell you here? Okay. 15. For this people's heart is waxed gross. See? Different heart. Okay? And their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed. Who closed them? Most High. Lest at any time they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears and should understand with their heart, lob, mind, okay, and should be converted. If you're converted, then what are you, worthy or unworthy? And I should heal them. And see, healing, that means you'll be in a capacity so that you'll be able to understand the difference between someone who says they see the truth and someone that says that they're actually in the truth. And you can see the difference because someone, and you can perceive it and you can experience the difference. Someone who says they see the truth, you deal with people like this all the time. You have a conversation with someone, right? And just to let you, just give you a quick analogy. You have a conversation with someone and you're speaking about something that they pretty much can relate to. And their statement to you is, I can see that. Don't they a lot of say that all the time? Now, just because they say they can see that, does that mean that they're actually doing it and actually functioning in that? No. They just say they see it. So they're kind of saying that I'm kind of hearing it, but maybe some of it I'm registering and some of it I'm not. But if someone is really in the truth and not just seeing the truth, they tell you that, yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. See the difference? If you're doing it, then you're in the truth if you're really doing the truth. If you're just saying you see it, you're not, that don't mean you're really doing the truth. So the perception, is it on you or is it on them? You see what I mean? Okay. Okay, here we go. 16. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. 17. For verily means seriously, right? I say unto you, that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which ye see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear, and have not heard them. You hear that? So, what I'm trying to tell you is, it's not just about what you say you can see. It's about what are you actually applying? What are you doing? Are you actually doing it? Most High talks about commandments and the laws, and he tells you that, you have to practice the righteous acts, Judges chapter 5:11. And the Most High YAHAWASHI tells you all the time, you have to learn what laws, statutes, and commandments you can perform. And of course, in exile and in captivity, the Most High limited you on certain ones that you can or cannot perform. Okay? And so knowing that, you'll perceive it correctly and you'll act accordingly in terms of doing the laws that you can do. Now, that's the key thing I'm saying, doing the laws. Are you actually trying to do them? And the laws are pertaining to his word, his scriptures. And the scriptures give you instruction, just like Yahawashi did, in terms of giving you an explanation of what to do. If you're telling people as a teacher, a prophet, a preacher, whatever you want, a watcher, whatever you want to call yourself, if you're telling people or giving them information and you only give them half of it or one side of it, you give them, well, let me tell you about the gloom and doom and how the Most High is going to kick our asses because, boy, we getting it. But you don't tell them the other portion of it where he always gives you information on what to do when his wrath is applied. I'm not telling you that you're going to get out of it completely, but he has given instructions on his navigation of your situation in reference to his wrath that's being applied on the whole world. He's done it. I've given you plenty of scriptures that support that. I did a lesson just last week, I think it was, or so, where I gave you a lesson on that. It was 3 hours long. You could have easily seen that that's the case with scripture to back it up. So not like you didn't know it. I'm not going to read the sower explained. Well, let's see. It's not that much. Well, I will read it. Why not? Because I got to get into more scriptures, and I'm trying to move forward here because I have a lot to cover. And we're already 45 in for scripture we talked about, plus a few explanations and some analogies that were important to understand. But let me read the explanation of the sower. See, this is so good because Yahawashi talked the parable, then he explained the parable, and now he gave you the parable of the sower, and now he's going to explain it. So here it goes. Of course, again, this is in Mark 4:13 as well, 13 through 20, and also Luke 8, 11 through 15. Just like I said before, right in those chapters, but a little bit further down. 18, hear ye therefore the parable of the sower. When anyone heareth the word of the kingdom and understandeth it not, then cometh the wicked one and catcheth away that which was sown in his heart, in his mind. This is he which receiveth seed by the wayside. You hear that? He told you what it means. So you don't have to listen to a religious practitioner lie to you, some phony scholar from some belief system. You don't have to listen to that. He told you what it says. All right? Now, 20. But he that receiveth the seed into stony places, the same is he that heareth the word, and anon with joy receiveth it. In other words, he grabs it and he embraces it. Okay? Now, 21. Yet hath he not root in himself, but dureth for a while. For when tribulation or persecution ariseth because of the word, by and by he is offended. Now, why does persecution come because of the word? Because of what Hebrews told you, Hebrews 4:12, that the word is a two-edged sword, and we're going to cover that too. Okay? All right, and this is going to address some situations in reference to people who are seeing things and they don't understand that sometimes what you're seeing could either be protection or correction. Which is it? But we'll cover that too. All right. Now, so he explained that it arises because of the word, by and by he is offended. And people get offended by the word because when it vexes their spirit. And even if you think you know some stuff and you've been in an organization that's seemingly telling you and leading you where you think is going in the right direction, but when someone brings something else to your attention that the Father has them bring, why are you getting pissed off? Why are you getting upset? Why are you angry? Why are you going back? Why are you backbiting? Why are you scoffing? Why are you going crazy? Because it's vexing you, which means if it vexes you, what part do you play in it? Hello? Where do you stand with it? Or if it bothers you, you must be participating in it. If it don't bother you, then maybe that's not part of what's going on with you. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Okay. So by and by he is offended. 22. He also that receiveth seed among the thorns. He is as thorns is he that heareth the word, the care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becometh unfruitful. Boy, do we see all that going on all the time. All through everything that's being presented to us, right? Seemingly in this toxic world. 23. But he that receiveth seed into the good ground is he that heareth the word, and understandeth it, which also beareth fruit, and bringeth forth some 100, some 60, some 30. So you are actually providing what the Father is saying is obedience, right? That is a form of sacrifice, but you're bringing some obedience to the fruit that you are providing through the leadership and being led by Bahasham Yahawashi. That's how you bring it. Okay? And of course, you know, the next one is tares among the wheat, and then the mustard seed, and then the leaven, and then the tares explained, and the hidden treasure, and the costly pearl, and the dragnet, and then of course Yahawashi visits Nazareth. So go to chapter 13 and read that chapter. And before you read it, praise, worship, and prayer. You know, he always has me stand on foundationalism because the Father is the foundational. Yahweh is the foundation, and he holds everything together with his power he's anchored in, and he distributes that through his Son and the angels. Praise, worship, and prayer wrapped in repentance is how the formula that gets you at least in front of Yahawashi, that can get you the opportunity for Yahweh to provide an ability for you to be led in the paths of righteousness, or in the paths of his righteous way, okay, so to speak, if you got that right. Now, we got to continue because we got a lot of things we need to cover here. I haven't even got through my scriptures yet. I got a better part of 15 precepts that do have some significant precepts to cover, and we got to get to it. So we're going to do that, all right? Because we got to prove our position when it comes to clued in and clued out, because I ain't no need for me to just filibuster all the time. I gotta chop up some scriptures and bring them to you. How about that? Okay, now what we're gonna do is just to get things going in the right direction. All right. I want to say a couple things here, and because it's important. All right, like for instance, Deuteronomy chapter 7:6 told us that he says that thou art a holy people. Now, let's just go there real quick. Go with me to the Old Testament. We're gonna hit Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 6. Okay, so just go with me real quick here, 7, and we're gonna just read that. For thou art, Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto Yahweh, it says capital letters Lord, Yahweh thy power, and Yahweh thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all the people that are upon the face of the earth. Okay? And of course, you know, 7 tells you that Yahweh did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because ye were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people. Now, of course, this is pertaining specifically to where we are now in a fallen state capacity. So, breaking this down, I want you to be able to put on your perceptive glasses and understand that when the Father says this in Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6 through 7, he's telling you, thou art a holy people. This is true. We are a holy people, because if he chose us and he's holy, that makes you holy. Now, but make sure, I want you to understand the application in context in terms of the timeline that we're associating this. Right now, he's saying this about us to inform us of the situation of his choice, and to inform us of the fact that us being a chosen people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth, he has supported this throughout Second Esdras, which they hid from us. Why would they hide it? Because they know this is true about us. But secondly, you also have a third, you must also understand that this application has an associated timeline that graduates and becomes an upgrade when we go to the new covenant, new kingdom, when we actually participate in that glorification process. Elder Yashawamba, Elder Bishop Yashawamba of GMS Dallas always just talk about we go from glory to glory. If we go from glory to glory, how do we get there? How do we get from glory to glory? Well, we get to glory from the choice that the Father has made of his chosen people. So if you are a holy person, chosen by the Most High and through the lineage of the Hebrew Israelites, and then you graduate to the sons and daughters of Yahweh. Once you get into the sons and daughters of Yahweh upgrade, at that point, then you get to start seeing, you know, what happens in terms of being above all the people upon the face of the earth. Because you can say right now, well, this scripture don't apply right now because we at the bottom of the list. We at the bottom of the daggone bucket, the bowl. Aren't we? Tell me we're not. That's why, for the life of me, I can't understand when someone tells somebody they're ruling well. Where are we ruling well at? Not here, in this fallen state. Now, Yahweh Bahasham Yahawashi is ruling well, I have no problem with that. I believe that with all my heart and soul and spirit. But as far as any physical, flesh-driven entity that's in these chains of darkness, we ain't ruling shit well. Sorry, I don't see it. All right? Rule well is clearly in the wheelhouse of Yahweh, the Father, and Yahawashi with that power of the Ruach HaKodesh, or the Kadesh Rakah, however you want to put it, the Holy Spirit. That's who rules well. Okay? Now, when we get into the new covenant and the new kingdom, okay, on earth as it is in heaven, as my brother Malcolm always says, we will be sons and daughters of Yahweh, and we will be granted the ability to rule well. Some of us, not everybody, I don't think. Now, we'll all be respected in that new covenant, new kingdom, if you are a converted, taking the upgrade, rejuvenated, regenerated Israelite that becomes a son and daughter of Yahweh. You will be respected. There's beyond a shadow of a doubt that you will be respected by the rest of the heathen nations, and probably also by your peers and people who are in the kingdom of heaven that are also upgraded and have taken the upgrade. Yeah, we'll all be respected. That's a form of power. And that's a form of going from glory to glory. Can you get it? Can you receive it? But right now, here, what glory to glory are you going to? I am like probably, I know I got dogs. And I'm not trying to be gross, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm talking about me. All right? I got dogs. Now, my dogs eat well. My dogs eat some pretty good stuff. All praises to, I'm just saying, call hello Yahawashi Yahawashi for him taking care of the animals. Okay, he does a good job on that, and I all give him praises for that. He don't have to, and he doesn't. My dogs eat well, but I'm gonna tell you something. Just like anything else in the world, my dogs will crap wherever they have to crap. Okay, and the stuff that the dogs crap is what it is. But I'm gonna tell you something. Me, I know at many times, and I can clearly say it on myself, raise my own hand, I ain't worth the crap my dogs crap out. That's right. I'm talking about me. I ain't saying about you. I said me. If I know I ain't worth the shit that even my dogs could put out their body, what does that tell you? Just think about it for a minute. I praise, worship, and pray and plead to Yahawashi that he sees me cleaned up from being a piece of shit because of my brother, my Savior, Yahawashi, who has shed his blood for myself and the lineage of the Israelites that have been brought through predestination to understand that. Still a piece of shit, but hey, I just got cleaned up by the blood of Yahawashi. It's where I stand. I'm talking about me. I don't know how you see it or where you stand, but that's how I am. That's where I am. So, but if I'm predestined to make it to the kingdom on earth as it is in heaven, and whatever level he's got me at, if I'm not out there with them heathens in the field performing that level of servitude, if I'm not out there and he got me in the kingdom, even the 2/3 is going to be in the kingdom. I don't know what level they're going to be at, but I'm just saying, if I can make that, if I'm predestined to make that, I believe I'll be all right. But nobody knows for sure. You can only go on whatever the Father directs you to go through to understand it. That's why, Deuteronomy chapter 7:6 is important. For thou art a holy people, who the Lord Yahweh the Lord thy power have chosen to be a special people. But we don't get the glory to glory until we get into the new covenant, new kingdom. You ain't getting no glory to glory here. You may go, if you go into glory to glory here, it's a low level glory. It certainly ain't ruling shit. We will receive the glory of the holy, righteous people when the new covenant is applied on earth as it is in heaven. This fallen state, the Most High has poured out plagues on all creation here in a complete cleansing and purification process. Do you understand that? The Most High has, in this fallen state, he's poured plagues out on all creation of all levels, and things starting to ramp up even more. And let's not look at plagues as just something like what happened in Egypt, where he's poured out something from his creation that's affecting or infecting an actual human being. Human beings that the Father created can also be a plague. Did you hear that? Actual physical entities that have a wicked soul, a contaminated soul in them, and a spirit that the Father put in them, and a body that they've been fashioned in, they could be a goddamn plague too. And we know we got them, because we got a whole bunch of red devils running around all over the earth, and they are the worst damn plague we could have. And you can't tell me we don't. And the sun is melting a lot of their plagues too. Because many things you've seen on social media and everything else, and they're telling you why they go out in the sun and the sun don't like them. The sun's killing them. We're trying to kill them. It's not doing that. Why is it not doing that to everybody? Enough for that. Okay. Because if you get me started, I'm gonna be in trouble. I'm gonna be here talking about this forever. Okay. The chariots of the Most High. Brothers are seeing chariots recently and seeing them a lot. It's a blessing if your leadership and the organization that you belong to are seeing chariots come over you and show themselves and expose themselves. But you know what? It's a two-edged sword, though. Okay? If you're doing well, now granted, I think it's, hey, look, what I've seen, what other people seen, what matters is who's watching you and what is the purpose behind them watching you. So you gotta get it from that perspective. Okay, check it out. Your perception better understand the difference between and the association with correction and protection. Now, chariots being observed and showing up. We know the angels are in the chariots. Call hello Yahawashi. We know that the angels are in the chariots. Okay, that's what we know. Now, protection or correction, which is it? You could be being observed as a protection, which is beautiful, and I'm not saying it is one way or the other, but it definitely is in line with Hebrews chapter 4, which is what I'll go and I'll get there and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Go to Hebrews chapter 4 with me for a minute, okay? All right, you believe you so-called believers, Hebrews chapter 4, and let's go down to 12. And of course, read this chapter because it talks about the rest that we can or cannot be in reference to Yahawashi. All right, I'm going to start at 10. For he that is entered into his rest, he also hath ceased from his own works. Okay, what you're asking for is not about you. It's about what the Father wants. Yahweh did from his, let us labor therefore to enter into that rest, lest any man fall after the same example of unbelief. Okay? 12. For the word of Yahweh is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit and of the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. A discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. So, if chariots show up, it could be protection or correction. The angels are watching, and they're hearing everything you say. And if you say stuff and you do stuff that don't line up with what you can prove in Scripture, which do you think you're getting observed for? Protection or correction? Which one? If you come out your face because you're not picking up the clue and you start asking for specific things that you think you want, that you think you're going to get, and you have no evidence to say that that's going to be the case in the new covenant, new kingdom, which is it that you could be observed from these chariots on that level? Which could you be observed on? You could be observed under a protection, or you could be observed by the angels sent by Yahweh in those chariots for correction or protection. Which is it? And this goes the same for anything and everything else you're saying when you teach and preach and you prophesy and you do everything else you're saying. When you say shit about the women, Hamashiach, Yahawashi, he never called our women the stuff we call our women. He never said that our women are going to be useless and we don't need them to reproduce the sand of this the Israelite or the bringing back the people. Yahawashi ain't never said no shit like that. Where are you getting this from? And how you going to do that? He never did that. He never said that about the women. And if we're talking about bringing back, who said you going to bring them back? Where is that at in the new kingdom scriptures and new covenant and kingdom scriptures? Where is it at? I don't see it. You adding and taking away. Sound like to me. No, okay, because if I just go get a little handful of salt. Matter of fact, that's a good prop. Give me a minute. I want to show you something. Just so you can really get the picture. Okay? All right. Shalom, shalom. I'm back. All right. I want to show you something. Now, I'm using this, of course, as an accurate analogy because you need to have this envision, this picture. Okay. Now, I'm not going to waste this, but look, this is a little salt, which is similar in context and in structure as sand. Okay. Just be with me for a minute now. All right. Now, I'm going to take this sand or what you call, I'm going to use it as a prop to call it the same thing as the sand, like the sand of the sea. Now, you see all that there? See that little bit, that little bit. Can I count the granules in that salt or that sand? Can I count them? Now, this is the analogy I'm giving you. We're going to bring back through some form of consummation with females, all the Israelites are all the sand of the sea. Look, you see how I'm pouring this back in there? You see all that? It's going right back in the jar, okay? I'm not wasting it. I don't want to get in no trouble. I ain't wasting no salt. Maybe just a couple granules. Boy, and even those few, I don't know, it's just a few granules. So what I'm saying is, how are we going to procreate the stars of heaven and the sand of the sea in reference to the amount of souls and spirits that the Father he brought into existence through some kind of intercourse? What? And this is, man, in this little bit of salt right here, the granules, it could be 50,000, maybe more. Just that little bit. You talking about the whole sand of the sea? And Obadiah, that's just a figure of speech or an analogy. You don't know that. How many souls, how many spirits have the Father created? Ones that are from the past to the date. I mean, could it be, I don't know, not how many people right now supposedly on this earth? What, 9 billion or 9 trillion? How many people? How many have passed? How many are back? How many total? We don't have the number. It's innumerable, just like the sand of the sea. But no, we don't need our Israelite women. We're going to bring back the sand of the sea through other nations. That's bullshit. What? Let me get back. Because see, look, okay. Like I said, let me get back to clued in and clued out. That's a clued in, clued out situation. Clearly. Okay? Show me in new covenant, new kingdom, precepts and scriptures, multitude of them that says that's how we're going to do it. One that make 1,000, the one that made 1,000 before was the Most High, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. See, difference between correction and protection. You know, in Ezekiel, now I showed you here in Hebrews already that the Father's a two-edged sword. And the stuff that we say, we got to pay for. We could get reward, judgment or reward, but you got to think about it. What you saying? What are you saying? Check what you're saying. Okay? Power, spiritual power, predestined before the foundation of the world is spiritual power. He made that determination, not us. You don't earn it. You don't get it just because you want it. Jeremiah, chapter 1. Jeremiah, chapter 1. The words of Jeremiah, the son of Hilkiah, of the priests that were in Antioch, in the land of Benjamin, to whom the word of Yahawah came in the days of Josiah, son of Ammon, king of Judah, in the 13th year of his reign. It came also in the days of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, unto the end of the 11th year of Zedekiah, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, unto the carrying away of Jerusalem captive in the 5th month. Then the word of Yahawah came unto me, saying, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. What? You hear that? I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee. Right? What does that mean? Set apart, righteous way, in a righteous way, set apart in a righteous way, and ordained thee, see, a prophet unto the nations. What nations? The nations of Israel. That's a perfect idea and definition of being given a form of spiritual power. before the foundation of the world, which I've told you. This is what the Father has done. Everyone that's going to get spiritual power going to have spiritual power. It's already been predetermined. You don't get it just because you're doing a little work and you're doing some lessons and you out on the highway. No, it don't work like that. It's already predetermined. You see it right here in Jeremiah. And multitude of other ones like Enoch, Ezekiel. They were predestined to do these things, just like you're predestined to do these things. Just like everyone else that you know who's doing the real work, they're predestined to do it. That's a form of predestinated spiritual power. Now, if it's escalated to another level, when the Father gets through that particular prophetic timeline in that schedule, if you are to be activated to have the spiritual power you've been designated with before the foundation of the world, then so be it. But everybody's not going to have it in that way where you're going to be just as powerful as Michael and Gabriel and Samuel and Ariel and the seraphim and the cherubim. No, they were made like that. And if you were made like that, that's where you would be at right now. But you were made like this, and you're here. And if he's going to make you a threshing instrument, which we will also speak about, okay? Bottom line is, it already has been predetermined that that's what you're going to do. But be careful what you say, and be careful what you show, because Yahawashi will definitely let you know. Stop the bullshit, because you're saying a lot of stuff, and the Father has me point out activity. I ain't calling no names, but the activity. If it fits you and you get pissed off, then that means you're doing it, and the Father is watching. Chariots are watching. Not just because you're doing something that you think is right. They're watching all sides. Two-edged sword. Remember? Hebrews chapter 4. When the chariots show up, they're watching both sides of the word and the activities that you're supposed to be predestinedly providing in truth. All of us, me, you, everybody else. No exceptions. Get it. So I read Jeremiah. I only read the whole chapter. He told him, he sanctified thee and ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. Then said I, Lord Yahweh, behold, I cannot speak, for I am a child. But Yahweh said unto me, say not, I am a child, for thou shalt go to all that I shall send thee, and whatsoever I command thee, thou shalt speak. Here, hey, I'm not Jeremiah, but I understand that perfectly when he told me that. He said, yeah, you're a baby. You're not a child to that degree. And he told me to do the same thing. Yes, I got my introduction to the apostles and GMS, and that's a launch pad. That's a launch pad. But who's directing the understanding in me now? Yeah, they're there. They're there for some guidance. And if something comes up, I can reach out and send some information, and I'm sure that somebody in their organization will send a reply to a question if there's a question. But for the most part, once I got introduced, once I was aided in getting up as a small infant and being able to crawl and then walk, Yahawashi took over and said, I'm going to lead you in the path of righteousness. And you make sure you speak on the activities that I tell you to speak on. Hint, hint, case in point, here I am. Right? That's what he said. But Yahweh said unto me, say not, I am a child, for thou shalt go to all that I send thee, and whatsoever I command thee, thou shalt speak. Be not afraid of their faces, for I am with thee to deliver thee, saith Yahawah. Then Yahawah put forth his hand, touched my mouth, and Yahawah said unto me, Behold, I have put my words in thy mouth. See, I have this day set thee over the nations and over the kingdoms to root out, see, clues in, include out, root out, and to pull down, and to destroy, and to throw down, to build, and to plant. And of course, you know, the almond rod, we're going to touch that too. Father willing, we'll do that. But Yahweh's telling me to speak on the activities that are in the wheelhouse and in the confines of what truth he has revealed to the world. Speak on the activities. He didn't say call out a person's name. He didn't say, you know, go up and slander or scoff an individual. No, he said speak on their activities. All their activities, not just some, but all of them. Observe, I'll give you the lesson, you bring it out and say what I told you to say. Don't be afraid of their faces, and I'm not. I don't care what you look like, what you sound like, and how you feel. If you don't like what the Father has me saying, before you get in my face, and before you want to chastise the messenger, you better go to Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi and you talk to him and see, and you tell him you don't like what he's doing with his creation, the way he's doing with all his creation, and the method he's using to bring out the timeline and prophetic information that he's bringing. You go to him and you get an answer from him. Tell him you don't like the way things are being addressed. I'd like to see you do that before you come in anybody's face. Correction and protection. I care about what the Most High Yahawah Bahasham has to say because he controls everything. Nobody else does. Nobody else does. While I'm here, I'm going to go to Proverbs real quick, and I'm going to go to 22. I got to get moving on this. And verse 4. By humility and the fear of Yahawah are riches and honor and life. That's where all the real power and wealth is. By the fear of Yahawah. That's what it's supposed to say. I'm going to Isaiah here. Go with me to Isaiah 41. Isaiah 41. And this is obviously the Most High is encouraging us, Israel, right? And I'm going to go ahead on down to 15. Remember what I said before. Spiritual power is something that's given to us before the foundation of the world. Isaiah 41 and 15. Behold, I will make thee a new sharp threshing instrument, having teeth. Thou shalt thresh the mountains. Mountains represent nations, right? And beat them small, and shall make the hills as chaff. Hills, obviously, for smaller locations within the nation, okay? All right, thou shalt fan them, 16, fan them, and the wind shall carry them away, and the whirlwind shall scatter them, and thou shalt rejoice in Yahawah, and shall glory in the Holy One of Israel. And being scattered in the whirlwind, that alludes to the chariots, and them, of course, doing what they're doing. See, when Michael shows up in Daniel chapter 12, first, when Yahawashi on the heels, I'm anticipating that. I don't know how fast Yahawashi will come after Michael comes to fight for his people. He's coming to fight in many different ways, not just physically, but he's coming to fight in every capacity that's necessary to put us at ease until Yahawashi comes in and cleans up everything with angels. Let me tell you something. Yahawashi even told us that he told Pilate he could call down 12 legions of angels and clean all this shit up. Not, I mean, roughly paraphrased without the word shit, of course, you know, Shalaki. But he can clean up all that. He said if this was his kingdom, you know, he could call down power and take it over. But he knows he came here to fulfill prophecy and do what the Father said for him to do. But the bottom line is it doesn't negate the fact that he doesn't say that he has the power. And when he does show up, he's coming with some very powerful angels. Do we really need to help them? Now, there will be some incorporation of help, because here in Isaiah 4:1 it says that he's going to make thee a sharp threshing instrument. Well, so you'll have predestinated, some will have participation. Some will participate in what Yahawashi is going to do when he shows up with the power and the angels. And he's coming with a lot, not just a few. Because remember, one angel that was sent to deal with Sennacherib, that king, that heathen Hamite king, when Hezekiah was playing around and was supposed to be doing his job for Israel and got his butt kicked, and Sennacherib was going around taking down a bunch of Israelite kingdoms all over the place, roughly paraphrased. Hezekiah laid out the letter that Sennacherib sent to him, that his God, who he's scoffing and mocking Yahawah, Bahasham Yahawashi, and told him that his God ain't gonna do nothing to help him. Well, the Most High sent one angel, one. He went into the camp that night, and in the morning, 185,000 soldiers were done, unalived. One angel, 185,000 soldiers. You know what? What do you think Sennacherib did? He hauled his ass right back to his Hamite kingdom. He headed back to Assyria as fast as his ass could take him there. Okay, just like hey, what happened to all the chariots of Egypt with Pharaoh? Where did he go back? See, one angel, 185,000. So how much help does Yahawashi really need from us, or anyone that becomes a threshing instrument? Yeah, you get a little skin in the game. You get a little skin in the game, but you ain't coming at the level that Michael's coming, or Yahawashi and his angels. You ain't doing that. Y'all be fantasizing some stuff, man. And I understand. It's inspirational. It's entertaining. It's sensational. But let's stick to the facts. Okay? Let's stay factual. Okay? Don't be tripping. Because y'all have a tendency to be tripping and shit. So we say Isaiah 41. Okay, now we're going to go to we gotta chop up some more good scriptures here, okay? Let me go to 1 Peter real quick. Go with me to 1 Peter. All right. And I'm gonna go to chapter 5. And you gotta serve Yahawah willingly. And I'm gonna go down to 6. Well, I'll start at 5. It's always a good thing to start just one above and maybe one below. How about that? 5. Likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves unto the elder. Yea, all of you be subject to one to another, and be clothed with humility. For Yahawah resisteth the proud, and giveth grace to the humble. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of Yahawah, that he may exalt you in due time, casting all your care upon him, for he careth for you. So, if you're too proud, and you're not humble, and this is something that should be put in you before the foundation of the world, and it should show. Humility is something that's the action that's shown, not something that you say you are. It's something that you are and you do it. But are you really? That's the thing. What do you show? Do you show that you're humble or not? I don't know, man. The way some people talk about who is going to get what kind of power they're going to get, or who is going to be exalted, and who's elect, who's not elect, who's a demon, who's not a demon. Be careful what you say, because the Most High is doing everything to everything and all his creation at all times. We don't have no power to do anything to any of these people. And if something does happen to him by your hand, it still was the Most High that did it. Still was him that did it. Okay, let's get rolling because we're going to try to get through this as quickly as we can. We got quite a few scriptures to finish here. I got a good list. I just, I got to speak between the lines because if I don't, you won't get any clarity on anything. You'll be like, oh, well, I don't know what he mean by that, Shalaki, I need that. All right, I'm going to Daniel. Back to the old and then straight on down to the new. All right. So bear with me. I'm going to Daniel. So go with me to Daniel. I'm going to start at 2 and 28. Now, of course, this is the dream about Nebuchadnezzar. And the reason why I'm going here is in terms of we're starting to talk more in depth about the clues. Clued in and clued out. I know I hit a lot of different topics, and sometimes he has me do that in terms of things that he has me observe that he wants me to address based on activities that happen. I explained that already, so I don't want to go back, digress and go back in that, but you know that. Daniel chapter 2, the king's forgotten dream. And, in the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar dreamed dreams wherewith his spirit was troubled and his sleep broke from him. Now, the reason why I'm going here is because I got to go into how certain individuals are clued in, and it doesn't matter if they are heathens or if they are supposedly chosen people of the Most High. He clues in and clues out all his creation in every single way, if you can receive that. All his creation is clued in or clued out. Let's just make sure we understand that, okay? All right, so in Daniel chapter 2, verse 28, I read the first precept, the first verse, but let me go on down. And this is the secret is revealed to Daniel, all right? So in 19 it says, there was a secret revealed unto Daniel in a night vision. Then Daniel blessed Yahawah of heaven. And Daniel answered and said, blessed be the name Yahawah of power forever and ever, for wisdom and might are his. And he changeth the times and the seasons. He removeth kings and setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise and knowledge to them that know understanding. 22. He revealeth the deep and secret things. He knoweth what is in the darkness, and the light dwelleth with him. 23. I thank thee and praise thee, O thou power of my fathers, who hast given me wisdom and might, and hast made known unto me now what we desire of thee. For thou hast now made known unto us the king's matter, Shalaki. Therefore, Daniel went in unto Arioch, whom the king had ordained to destroy the wise men of Babylon. He went and said thus unto him, destroy not the wise men of Babylon, bring me in before the king, and I will show unto the king the interpretation. Okay. So Arioch brought in Daniel before the king in haste, and said thus unto him, I have found a man of the captives of Judah that will make known unto the king's interpretation. 26. The king answered and said to Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar? Art thou able to make known unto me the dream which I have seen and the interpretation thereof? And Daniel answered and in the presence of the king and said, the secret which the king hath demanded cannot the wise men, the astrologers, the magicians, or the soothsayers show unto the king. 28. But there is a power in heaven that revealeth secrets and maketh known to the king Nebuchadnezzar what shall be in the latter days. Thy dream and the visions of thy head upon thy bed are these. Clued in, clued out. As for thee, O king, thy thoughts came to thy mind upon the bed, what should come to pass hereafter. And he that receiveth secrets maketh known to thee what shall come to pass. 30. But as for me, this secret is not revealed to me for any wisdom that I have more than any living, but for their sakes that shall make known the interpretation to the king and that thou mightest know the thoughts of thy heart. Now we're going to talk about the king's dream. Okay? All right? Thou, O king, sawest, behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. Meaning, boy, it shocked the freaking crap out of him. This image's head was of fine gold, the breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, and his feet of iron, part of clay. Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out of without hands, and which smote the image upon its feet, and were of iron and of clay, and brake them to pieces. Then was the iron and clay and brass and the silver and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floor. And the wind carried them away, that the spirit, Ruach HaKodesh, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became the great mountain and filled the whole earth. Yahawashi. Can you receive it? The interpretation, Babylon, the first kingdom. This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. O thou, O king, art a king of kings. See, Lucifer, that's who it is, the king of Babylon, right here, okay? We'll get there. For Yahawah of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beast of the field and the fowls of heaven have he given into thine hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. Medo, Persia, and Greece. And after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. Rome, and the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, forasmuch as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these shall it break in pieces and bruise. And whereas thou sawest the feet and the toes, part of potters, clay, and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of strength and of iron, forasmuch as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. 42. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and the part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. 43. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall image themselves, clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. The divine kingdom. And in the days of these kings shall a power of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, no other nations, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. The new kingdom of heaven on earth as it is in heaven, right here. Forasmuch as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it break in pieces of the iron and the brass and the clay and the silver and the gold, and the great power hath made known to king what shall come to pass hereafter, and the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure. Daniel promoted. The king Nebuchadnezzar fell upon his face and worshiped Daniel, and commanded that they should offer an oblation and sweet odors unto him. And the king answered unto Daniel, and he said, of a truth it is that your power is God, is power of gods, of all power, and the Lord of all kings, and the revealer of secrets, seeing thou couldst reveal this secret. Then the king made Daniel a great man, and gave him many great gifts, and made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon, and chief of the governors over all the wise men of Babylon. Then Daniel requested of the king that he set Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego over the affairs of the province of Babylon, but Daniel sat in the gate of the king. Okay, so we can see clued in and clued out all through everything I read. Who was clued in? Daniel was clued in. Who was clued out? Nebuchadnezzar. All the soothsayers, all the magicians, all the astrologers, clued out. They weren't clued in. You can see it. It's right there in front of your face. Can't tell me you can't see it. If you can't, then you must be clued out. Clearly. Okay? It's not hard to see that now, is it? Okay. Now we're going to Daniel chapter 5. Why? Because this is another proportion of clued in and clued out that's very important to understand. Daniel chapter 5. Go with me. All right? All right. Now, remember, this is Belteshazzar. This is the grandson of Nebuchadnezzar. You know, because he inherited the kingdom at this particular time. He's having this great feast, blasphemy feast, because he's got all of the artifacts and all of the sacred chalices and all of the information and all the stuff from the temple when they sacked it and when they brought it in, and now they're going to be trying to blasphemy drink out of this. And well, let me read it. Roughly paraphrasing, I'll just read it. Okay. We're going to go ahead. I'm going to start off and read at the top. Verse 1. Belteshazzar, the king, made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords and drank wine before the 1,000. Belteshazzar, whilst he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple. Shlaki, I said grandson. This is okay. His son. Okay, Shlaki had taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines might drink therein. Then they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple of the house of YAHAWAH, which was at Jerusalem, and the king and his princes and wives and his concubines drank in them. They drank wine and praised the gods of gold and of silver and of brass and of iron and of wood and of stone, which is all of what the Father told us not to do. Okay? Remember, in the same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand and wrote over against candlestick upon the plaster of the wall, the plaster of the wall of the king's palace, and the king saw part of the hand that wrote. Then the king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loosed, and his knees smote against one another, and that joker went down. It doesn't say that, but that's what happened. See, this is what's going to happen to a lot of us. Most High going to buckle some knees for some of the shit that we saying and doing. I'm telling you, you would be prepared. The king cried aloud to bring in the astrologers. Here we go again. The astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers. And the king spake and said to the wise men of Babylon, whosoever shall read this writing, show me interpretation thereof, shall be clothed with scarlet and have a chain of gold about his neck, and shall be the third ruler of the kingdom. And then came in all the king's wise men, but they could not read the writing nor make known to the king the interpretation thereof. Then was King Belteshazzar greatly troubled, and his countenance was changed in him, and his lords were a stone. Right? Now the queen, by reason of the words of the king and his lords, came into the banquet house, and the queen spake and said, O king, live forever. Let not thy thoughts trouble thee, nor let thy countenance be changed. He was serious. He was that Jake turned white. He was done. 11. There is a man in thy kingdom in whom is the spirit of the Ruach HaKodesh, the holy gods, right? And in the days of thy father, light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods, was found in him, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar, thy father, the king, I say thy father, made master of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers. For as much as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding, interpreting of dreams, and showing of the showing of hard sentences, and dissolving of doubts were found in the same Daniel, whom the king named Belteshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will show the interpretation. Now Daniel gets to interpret. Again, Daniel is clued in. Everybody else is clued out. You can see it. Here we go with the clued in. Then was Daniel brought in before the king, and the king spake and said unto Daniel, Art thou that Daniel which art of the children of the captivity of Judah, whom the king my father brought out of Jewry, or out of Jerusalem? Why did I say Jewry? Oh no. Salaki, forgive me. I have even heard of thee, that the spirit of the gods is in thee, and that light and understanding and excellent wisdom is found in thee. And now the wise men and astrologers have been brought in before me. They should read this writing and make known unto me the interpretation thereof, but they could not show the interpretation of the thing. And I have heard of thee, and thou canst make interpretations and dissolve doubts. Now, if thou canst read the writing and make known to me the interpretation thereof, thou shalt be clothed with scarlet and have a chain of gold about thy neck, and shalt be the third ruler in the kingdom. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, Let thy gifts be to thyself, and give thy reward to another. Yet I will read the writing unto the king, and make known to him the interpretation. O thou king, the most high God, the most high Yahawah gave Nebuchadnezzar thy father a kingdom, majesty and glory and honor. And for the majesty that he gave him, all people, nations, and languages trembled and feared before him. Whom he would, he slew, and whom he kept alive, and whom he set up, and whom he put down. But when his heart was lifted up and his mind hardened in pride, think about this, some of y'all, pride. All right, yeah, I know. You know everything. You got it all. Yeah, do you? Okay. And he was driven, okay, hardened in pride, and he was disposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him, and he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like beast, and his dwelling was with the wild asses. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with dew of heaven, till he knew that the Most High Yahawah ruled in the kingdom of men, and that he appointeth it over it whomsoever he will. And thou, his son, O Belteshazzar, has not humbled thine heart, okay? Though thou knewest all this. In other words, you knew all this happened, right? But hast lifted up thyself against the Lord of heaven, and they have brought the vessels of the house before thee, and thou and thy lords, thy wives, and their concubines, and they drunk wine in them, and thou hast praised the gods of silver, gold, and brass, and iron, and wood, and stone, which see not, or hear not, or know, and the God of whom hand thy breath is, and whose are of all thy ways, hast thou not glorified. You didn't glorify Yahweh Bahasham Yahawashi. Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written. And this is the writing that was written. Mene, tinkle, upharsin. This is the interpretation of the thing. Mene, Yahawah has numbered thy kingdom and finished it. You see that? This is the interpretation of the thing meaning. Yahawah hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Tinkle. Thou art weighed in the balances and art found wanting. Perez. Thou kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. Hello, America. Welcome to your judgment. Okay. All right, let me move forward. All right, thou art weighed, tinkle, thou art weighed in the balances and art found wanting. Perez, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. 29, then commanded Belteshazzar, they clothed Daniel with scarlet and put a chain of gold about his neck and made a proclamation concerning him, that he should be the third ruler of the kingdom. In that night was Balthazar the king of the Chaldeans slain, and Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 62 years old. See that? Clued in, clued out. Really easy to see. No mystery there, right? I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you. Now we're going to Ezekiel chapter 37. Go with me. Okay? Ezekiel 37. A lot of us know the vision of the valley of the dry bones. So I'm gonna hit this up. You know it. Clued in and clued out. Real simple. See, it's all in the scriptures, all through our entire book of remembrance, man. It's all there. The vision of the valley of the dry bones. The hand of Yahawah was upon me, Ezekiel, and carried me out in the spirit of Yahawah, and set me down in the midst of the valley which was full of bones, and caused me to pass by them round about. And behold, there were very many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry. And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Lord Yahawah, thou knowest. Right? Ezekiel in spirit of Yahawashi, right? Again he said unto me, prophesy upon these bones, and say unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of Yahawah. Thus saith the Lord power unto these bones, behold, I will cause breath to enter unto you, and ye shall live. 6. And I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and ye shall live, and ye shall know that I am Yahawah. Right? 7. So I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together, bone to his bone. 8. And when I beheld, lo, the sinews and the flesh came upon them, and the skin covered them above, but there was no breath in them. Think about that. Does that remind you of the Garden of Eden, when Adam was the only one that had the breath of life breathed into his nostrils, which was the first indication of giving him the law orally? But the rest of the nations that were in the kingdom and in the garden at that time, they didn't have this done to them exclusively like what happened to Adam. They were created and brought into existence, and they were living souls, but to a degree, they did not have the breath of life and the laws and the knowledge in them. They were spirits that were there. They had form, but they didn't have this. Right? They didn't have that breath in them. 9. Then said he unto me, prophesy unto the wind, prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, thus saith Yahawah power, come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain, that they may live. 10. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived and stood upon their feet, an exceeding great army. And so now you see that being the case with the awakening and the truth that has come into perspective, into existence at this present time. So we can see right now that this is what we're dealing with, okay? This is the situation that we're dealing with, all right? And that vision was explained, all right? And if, I could read I'll read some of it because I got to get to the next precept. Then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, oh, our bones are dry, and our hope is lost. We are cut off from our parts. Therefore prophesy and say unto them, thus saith the Lord power, behold, O my people, I'll open your graves and cause you to come up out of your graves and bring you into the land of Israel. And this is the spiritual awakening and spiritual blockage being removed to a degree. And ye shall know that I am Yahawah, Lord, and I am Yahawah, when I have opened your graves, O my people, and brought you up out of your graves, and shall put ye shall live, and ye shall place you, and I shall place you in your own land. Then shall ye know that I, Yahawah, have spoken it, performed it, saith Yahawah. Of course, you know that alludes to Jeremiah 31, and I believe we will be touching that a little bit this evening as well. Just wanted to make that point. Okay. So that's Ezekiel 37. Now we're going to go to Amos. So go with me to Amosian. Amos 8. All right. Talking about the basket of fruit and Israel's captivity. Thus saith Yahawashi, power, the Lord Yahawashi, showed unto me, and behold, a basket of summer fruit. And he said, see, this is clued in and clued out. And he said, Amos, what seest thou? And I said, a basket of summer fruit. Then said Yahweh unto me, the end is come upon my people of Israel. I will not again pass by them anymore. In other words, the Lord is backing up to the degree where he's allowing us to go through the cleansing, the prophetic timeline for cleansing and purification. Okay, just so you know. All right. Wanted to get that one. I did Jeremiah. All right, now we're going to Psalms. Go with me to Psalms. And I'm going to 78. This is the one from Psalm 78 is from Matthew 13. Remember that what Elias was preaching? No, we're going to get it. Psalms 78. And it reads, this is Yahweh's guidance of his people in spite of their unfaithfulness, right? Of course, give ear, O my people, to my law. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth. 2, I will open my mouth in a parable, and I will utter dark sayings of old. See, which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. So clued in and clued out capacities are happening at this particular point in time. You can see that, okay? It's not hard to see that, right? Okay, all right. That was Psalm 78. Now we're going to Proverbs. We're getting close to finishing here. We're going to Proverbs, and we're going to Proverbs chapter 1 first, and we're going to hit another one in Proverbs. Okay? Proverbs chapter 1, the usefulness of the Proverbs is important. The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding. See, being clued in and clued out. To receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment, and equity. To give subtly to the simple, and to the young man knowledge and discretion. Right? 5, a wise man will hear and will increase in learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsel. See, that's clued in and clued out. Can y'all not see that? Can y'all not understand? Let me read it again. All right. A wise man, this is verse 5, a wise man will hear and will increase in learning. You picking up the clues that the fathers put forth in the Pentateuch, in this book of remembrance, okay? In the scriptures, right? Increase in learning. And a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsel. How do you attain unto wise counsel? See, when you attain unto wise counsel, that means those who have introduced the truth to you, they can provide you a sounding board so that when the Father is dealing with you as you grew up and matured in the truth, if you have a question or you want to talk to them and run something by them, you can talk to them because they're wise counsel to the degree that they were mantled with the introduction of the truth from the beginning of the awakening. So you can go back and you can ask them questions, and in most cases, they can give you a viable answer from the scriptures. If you're not getting a viable answer from the scriptures, then you have to go back to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, and get an answer directly from them or an interpretation of whatever it is you got or didn't get, or maybe you did get and didn't understand it from the wise counsel of the elders that were giving this mantle in the introduction of the truth that was spread. Does that make sense? I hope so. I wanted to make sure I put it all out in that manner, okay? Now, so we know that. All right, now we're going to Proverbs 25, okay? All right, and this is similitudes of instruction. See, now, I'm not going to read all of this because it's a lot, because you're supposed to be reading this anyway. I've always said over and over in time, the Most High has always given us instructions when it comes to his wrath that he has already established in a fallen state that we're operating in. We are in this soup, and this soup is cooking, and the Most High is the one that's turning up the heat. And the heat of this toxic soup that we're in this fallen state right now, everybody's in it. Even the prophets, even the apostles, everybody, we all are in it. And there's no way you're not going to be in it if you're in the flesh. Now, if you ain't in the flesh, then you could be not in it unless he sends you back. But we're in this soup, okay? And we need to have instruction. We need to be told not just to befall us, but we need to also be told what directives to follow through Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, who leads us in his namesake in the paths of his righteousness. Now, you can get this, or you should be getting this, from the same people that are telling you what's going to befall you. So whatever's happening to you, or whatever's happening in wrath that's being laid out by the Father and being interpreted by the individuals that were predestined to give this information and do the interpretation, they are likewise supposed to give you the information about instructions in terms of how you are to be managed through the wrath of the Father's hand that's going on all creation. They're supposed to be giving you both sides. If they're only giving you one side, you need to go check and find out what the other portions of the answers are in those directives. You should not just be getting one side of gloom and doom and get no direction from the wrath that's laid out on the whole world, because the Father says, I've always told my elect how to prepare for my wrath. Point blank, period. Let's read some. There are also Proverbs of Solomon which the men of Hezekiah, king of Judah, copied out. It is the glory of Yahawah to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings to search it out the matter. You see, that is the actual image of the lesson that started this on include and include out. I'm going to read it again. Verse 2. It is the glory of Yahawah to conceal a thing, or the glory of God, as they say, to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings to search out the matter. The heaven for height and the earth for depth, the heart of kings is unsearchable. Take away the dross from the silver, and there shall come forth a vessel of the finer. 5. Take away the wicked from before the king, and his throne shall be established in righteousness. See that? Put not forth thyself in the presence of the king, and stand not in the place of great men. For better is it that it be said unto thee, come up hither, than thou shouldest be put lower in the presence of the prince whom thine eyes have seen. Go not forth hastily to strive, lest thou know not what to do in the end thereof. See that? You always have to have directives on what's coming, right? Go not forth hastily to strive, lest thou know not what to do in the end thereof, when thy neighbor hath put thee to shame. Debate thy cause with thy neighbor himself, and discover not a secret to another, lest that heareth it put thee to shame, and thy infamy turn not away. A word filthy spoken is like apples of gold in pictures of silver. As an urn of gold, as an earring of gold and an ornament of fine gold, so is a wise reprover over the obedient ear. You hear that? So again, that's as far as I'm gonna go with that. You need to read that whole thing, and you need to liken it to the ability to receive and embrace all the facets of the truth that's being laid out in reference to the wrath of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi that's put out on all creation on the earth. You need to know, yes, what the judgment is. You need to know that. You need to know what the wrath and the doom and gloom is. But you also need to know how the Father directs you through the paths of his wrath, because he said he would do it, and he is doing it. And you need to know who is responsible for providing that information. Don't just give one side. Okay? All right, so we're going to Colossians now. Shlaki. Colossians chapter 1. Go with me, Colossians 1. And I'm going down to 26 and 27. Now, this is the thankfulness of the spiritual attainments, just so you know, in case you didn't know. All right? And then we're going down here to 26 and 27. 26 and 27, Colossians chapter 1, 26. Even the mystery which hath been hid from the ages and from generations, but now is made manifest to his saints. You hear that? So you saints, you set apart ones, you selected, elected, your prophets, the elders, this is supposedly directed to you. Even the mysteries which have been laid from the ages, from generations, but now is made manifest to you. See, you're supposed to be clued in here. And if you're clued in, you can give all the phases of the gloom and doom, the deliverance, the wrath, the directions on what to do, the directions on what to do. Don't leave that out because it's been given to you. 27, to whom Yahawah would make known what is the riches of his glory of this mystery among the Gentiles. What Gentiles? This book is only for the Israelites, so it's talking about the Hellenized, scattered Israelites that are through all nations everywhere, okay? Which is Hamashiach in you, the hope of glory, whom we preach, warning every man and teaching every man in all wisdom, that we may present every man perfect in Hamashiach Yahawashi. Whereunto I also labor, striving according to his work, which worketh in me mightily. So you got to give it all. Don't just give half of it. And for Yahawah Bahasham, Yahawashi's sake, stay and start and stay foundational. Start and stay foundational. Don't be saying stuff off 50,000 feet off the ground that you cannot prove. Because you get all beside yourself and get all flustered and aggravated because you can't give a goddamn answer. Shalaki. I get passionate. You gotta forgive me. I get passionate. 1 Timothy. Father puts it in me. He wells up in me. Nothing jumps on me. It wells up in me. Nothing jumps on me. 1 Timothy 3. Overseers and deacons. If you're overseeing something, that means you're giving somebody some direction. Okay? Now, check this out. I'm going to start at 4. Now, I know this is talking about deacons and overseers, but this applies to set apart and chosen ones that are supposed to have the knowledge and ability to give direction to people on what to do because they're doing it, not just because they say it. Verse 4, 1 Timothy chapter 3. One that ruleth well, here we go. Who rules well? Only the Most High. One that ruleth well his own house, one that ruleth well his own house, one that ruleth well his own house, having his children in subjection with all gravity. For if a man knoweth not how to rule his own house, how shall he take care of the Israelites? How shall he take care of the nations of Israelites of Yahawah? It says church, but you know it's talking about us because that's who it is. Not a novice, least being lifted up with pride, he fall into condemnation of the devil. In terms of how the Edomites got you all jacked up because you think that you are ruling well, and you're not. Because only Most High rules as well. Can't even rule your own house. Moreover, he must have a good report of them which are without, lest he fall into reproach and the snare of the devil. Now, if he's going to have a good report of them which are without, it's not just talking about people around you. It's talking about chariots and stuff that's watching you, which means the angels are watching you, which means Yahweh's getting reports through Yahawashi and the angels in terms of, are you really ruling well? What about some of the stuff you say about your women who are going to be with you for eternity? And you ain't having no other women other than your own women. You ain't touching none of those workers in the field, those heathens. No, you're not. You ain't getting that because they can't. They can't touch you. They don't have no righteous laws in them. They don't have no righteous what I would call metabolism of the new covenant, new kingdom. So you cannot intermingle with them. How you going to take righteous metabolism that's got all the laws that the Father has in existence in you, from the universe to the laws that are being done for the new covenant and new kingdom, which are not the fallen state laws, none of that, and you got all the laws. That stuff is for this time. That's all being changed. They don't have any of that. They don't have any of that. How you going to lay with that? Show me where it says you can do that. Okay. Not a novice, lest being lifted up with pride, he fall into condemnation of the devil. Moreover, he must have a good report of them which are without, lest he fall into reproach and the snare of the devil. Likewise must the deacons be grave, not double-tongued, not given to much wine, not greedy or filthy lucre, right? Holding the mystery of the faith in pure conscience, and let these also first be proved. Then let them use the office of a deacon, being found blameless. Even so much their wives be grave, not slanderers, sober, faithful in all things. 12. Let the deacons be the husbands of one wife, ruling their children and their own houses well. You hear that? For they that have used the office of a deacon well, purchase to themselves a good degree and a great boldness in the faith which is in Hamashiach Yahawashi. These things write I unto thee, hoping to come unto thee shortly. But if I tarry long, that thou mayest know how thou ought to behave thyself in the house of Yahweh, which is the Israelites, right, of the living power, the pillar and the ground of truth, and without controversy. Great is the mystery of godliness. Yahweh was manifest in the flesh, justified in the spirit, seen of angels, preached unto the scattered Gentile Israelites, believed on the world, received up in glory. Okay, you got it? Just so you know. All right, now we're going to 1 Corinthians. So go with me. 1 Corinthians 15, and you know where I'm going, 15. Now, this whole thing, you need to read this in terms of clued in and clued out, because this is clearly the case. Okay? All right. And you can read this one also in Mark 16, 9 through 20, as far as the facts of the resurrection, the regeneration. Okay? I say to you, you should read this whole chapter and get understanding, and of course get edification if the Father sees deemed so to do it. Now, 1 Corinthians 15, starting at verse 50. Now this I say, brethren. Now, before we get started, brethren, only those that apply to this covenant and belong in this covenant. It's not universal. He didn't say, thus say, now this I say to the world, or to all the nations, or to universalism. Nope. brethren. That's only the kindred of the 12 tribes of Israel. This is who this book is for. Everybody else, there will be salvaging. Again, the Most High Bahasham Yahawashi has set it up so that all the rest of the nations of the world in a format will be salvaged for the kingdom of heaven that is going to have a representation of heaven on earth here. There will be other nations that will be salvaged, meaning they will be in the kingdom of heaven on earth, ruled by the rules of heaven. You ain't going to be in the sky floating around anywhere. You're going to be here, all right? You're not going to have the same metabolism and makeup of the regenerated and upgraded Israelites to the sons and daughters of Yahweh. You will not be the same as them. You will be an entity salvaged of your nation on this earth. In your position will be servitude. It won't be like the servitude you did here in this fallen state, but it will have some attributes of it if you get out of line. Just so you know. Okay? Now, we're going to talk about how that regeneration is going to go down here. Now, this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood, this flesh and this blood, in this fallen state, can you receive that? Okay? This flesh and blood here in this fallen state, in this prophetic timeline, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of Yahweh. That is the kingdom that is to come on earth as it is in heaven. Neither doeth corruption inherit incorruption. See, the nations that will be salvaged on earth as it is in heaven, they will still be corruptible. They will still have corruption. That's why they got to be taught the laws that will not be in their inward parts. You can't inherit incorruption. That right there completely dismantles and destroys your ability to do anything with these salvaged nations. They're women or they're men. You ain't doing nothing intimate with them. Because it says here, you cannot, neither doeth corruption inherit corruption. So you can't inherit no damn concubines from them. That ain't happening. Behold, I show you a mystery. Clue in or clued out. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. Now, we're going to be changed, and those salvaged nations are going to be changed. Why? Because we're in the new covenant, new kingdom, and how the condition they're in right now, the work that they're going to have to do, the Most High will probably fortify them to be able to do it. Because Esau Edom is weak as shit. Look at him. He can't stand the sun. He can't work out in the fields. Not in the condition he's in right now. He can't defend himself unless there's a bunch of them jumping on one Jake. Or it has to be a whole lot. How do they go get Jake? Mobs. Lynch mobs and crap. Deal with them one-on-one. What's the situation? They're not ready to be out there doing that field and doing the work they got to do until the Most High fortifies them. So they also will be changed, but not at the level of rulership. That's over with. We will be in that capacity. And we will be upgraded. And we're not dealing with them in any intimate fashion. It ain't happening. It's not going to be authorized. I don't care what the hell you want. You can lust for all you want. You ain't getting it. And you can't prove otherwise. And if you can, show me where Yahweh said you're going to be able to do it in the new covenant, new kingdom. In the new covenant, new kingdom, in new covenant and kingdom scripture. Word. The word in the new covenant, new kingdom. Show me a bunch of precepts that say you're going to do that over there. With these corruptible, tainted individuals that are upgraded to do the work in a salvageable capacity. Show it. Can't. It's not there. We shall, 51, behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment and in a twinkling of an eye at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. Now, it's only talking about the ones that's being raised incorruptible have to be that chosen seed line, that chosen people of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. And we already know who they are because the scriptures clearly say that. Okay? 53, for this corruptible must put on incorruption. Right now, this fallen state put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. See, this is where you're supposed to be picking up these clues. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. But thanks be to Yahawah, which giveth us the victory through our Lord Yahawashi HaMashiach. Therefore, my beloved brethren, again, not universal, not the whole nations, not everybody in the world, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord Yahawashi, right? For as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in Yahawashi, or in the Lord. Okay? So you can see that. That tells you right there. That's why I brought you there. Accept the upgrade. They're going into slavery. They're going into servitude. They're not going to be incorruptible. They're going to be corruptible, and they're going to be nasty, and they're going to be foul, and they have to be taught the law, but they will not be in rulership, and you ain't getting no goddamn sex toys or no play toys. It ain't happening. You can't prove it. Now, we're going to finish up here. We better right about that time, I guess. And we're going to the Apocrypha. If you can receive it. Not now. All right. Where did I do with it? I just had it. There we go. There we go. All right. Okay. I'm going to 2nd Esdras first. First place I'm going 2nd Esdras, and you know me, I'm going to 14 because I got to go here because we need to clean up. Okay, 2nd Esdras chapter 14. And this is when Ezra's getting the word coming out of Babylon to we got to get the book of remembrance back in line. We got to line it back up the way we had it before the captivities and before we became horrible clue solvers and ended up in captivity, which is 7 freaking times we had to do it because we kept losing focus on what the clues were and how we're supposed to be clued in and not clued out. And we clearly were not clued in. And right now we're still struggling with that capacity. Now this is, of course, where Ezra is, he is charged with and commissioned by Yahawah to get 5 scribes and write 204 books. And we're going to get into that a little bit here, and then we're going to finish it up, right? Up to the mount, where is not held him by me in a long season. Okay, we'll start at the top a little bit, and we'll read some of this, but we're going to definitely get back down to 45 and 47, okay? But I got to read this for context so that you understand, for those that may be listening and they haven't heard this before and they don't know about the Apocrypha, because the Most High used his method, his covert method of cluing in and cluing out other nations that need to be led astray in terms of the truth. That's why you have so many religious practitioners in the world that have belief systems that are loosely based on our truth in the book of remembrance in the scriptures. And they come up with brand names of religious belief systems like Islam, Buddhism, Christianity, all kinds of stuff, Zohar, Taoisms, all kinds of different crazy stuff. But and they all allude to different, I would say, analogies and factors that they believe are associated with a deity that's supposed to be their form of God or their form of power. And they draw a lot from the truth that we see in prophecy, but they can't pinpoint or have anything specific in prophecy that they own in their belief systems. They don't own any prophecies in their belief systems at all. And that's clearly the case. And I imagine there could be something that a lesson could be derived from. None of these other religious belief systems don't own any prophecies that we could draw off of in their belief systems at all. You can't see it. I don't care where they are. They don't have any prophecies they can prove or bring forward as far as their led astray belief systems that don't coincide or correlate with the truth that the Father is showing us is happening right in front of our faces. So let's get into second Esdras here. First verse. And it came to pass upon the third day, I sat under an oak. This is Ezra. And behold, there came a voice out of the brush over against me and said, Esdras. And I said, Here I am, Lord. And I stood up upon my feet. Then said he unto me in the bush, I did manifestly reveal myself unto Moses. So you knew who was talking. And talked with him when my people served in Egypt. And I sent him and led my people out of Egypt and brought him up to the mount where I held him by me a long season, and told him many wondrous things, and showed him the secrets of the times and the end, and commanded him, saying. See, now, he told Moses more than just the 10 commandments, like a lot of people think that's all he got. And then they say, well, there was 613 laws. It took a long time to tell him that, but he told him everything. Remember, he said here, I told Moses, right, him many wondrous things, and showed him the secrets of the times and the end, and commanded him, saying. Now, see, he had it all. Just because we don't have it all here, where is it? Now, there's going to be 204 books. A lot of that may be available, but we just don't have all of it, okay? We have what we need now to get as far along in salvation as we can with the way the Most High is directing us through his paths of righteousness in his sacred namesake in this prophetic timeline. Yeah, we have what we need so far, but there's more. Okay? 6. These words shalt thou declare, and these shalt thou hide. You hear that? These words shalt thou declare, and these words shalt thou hide. This is what the Father set up. And now I say unto thee, that thou lay up in thy heart the signs that I have shown, and the dreams that thou hast seen, and the interpretations which thou hast heard. 9. For thou shalt be taken away from all, and from henceforth thou shalt remain with my son, and with such as be like thee, until the times be ended. You hear that? For the world hath lost its youth, and the times began to wax old. For the world is divided into 12 parts. What does that tell you and remind you of? The 12 tribes of Israel, right? Because that's the inference and understanding that has to be revealed through them, okay? 12 parts. And the 10th parts of it are gone already, and half of a 10th part. And there remaineth that which is after, and a half of the 10th part, right? So the Father is saying there's deception that's being delivered in between the 12 parts of the information that's being revealed. And those portions are scattered and they are being brought together as we go, as things are being sown. Okay? 13. Now therefore set thine house in order and reprove thy people, comfort such as them as be in trouble, and now renounce corruption. Okay? Let go from the mortal thoughts. See, he's telling you, stop trying to have this wicked fallen state thought capacity and think you're going to have it in the spirit in the new kingdom. It's not going to happen. Let go mortal thoughts, cast away the burdens of man, put off now the weak nature. And that's what you're doing if you think you're migrating this over into the new covenant kingdom. You're not. And set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times. 16. For yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. See, more evils are coming. Jacob's trouble. We talked about that in 30, Jeremiah 30. For look how much the world shall be weaker through age, so much more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein. For the time is fled far away, and leasing is hard at hand. For now hasteth the vision to come which thou hast seen. Then answered I before thee and said, Behold, Lord, I will go as thou hast commanded me, and reprove the people which are present. But they that shall be born afterward, who shall admonish them? Thus the world is set in darkness, and they that dwell therein are without light. And what did he say? For thy law is burnt, thereof no man knoweth the things that are done of thee, or the work that shall be began. But if I have found grace, who says that? Call Lord Yahawashi your shot. Call Lord Yahawashi your shot. If I have found grace, which I know many times I have not, because I don't owe any. I know your grace is sufficient. If I have found grace, oh man. But if I have found grace before thee, send the Holy Spirit, send the Kadash Rakah into me, and I shall write all that hath been done in the world since the beginning, which were written in thy law, that men may find thy path, and that they which will live in the latter days may live. Look at that. That's powerful. 22, I'll read it again. But if I have found grace before thee, send the Holy Spirit, the Kadash Rakah, into me, and I shall write all that hath been done in the world since the beginning, comma, which were written in thy law, comma, that men may find thy path, comma, and that they which will live in the latter days may live. 23. And he answered me, saying, Go thy way, gather the people together, and say unto them that they seek thee not for 40 days. But look thou, prepare. Hello? Excuse me. All of the students in the first 2 rows of dumbass university who tell you things that are coming and give you no preparational directives. This is for you to pay attention to. 24, but look thou, prepare thee many box trees, and take with thee Sirah, Deborah, Salima, Inkinos, and Esel, and these 5 which are ready to write swiftly. And come hither, and I shall light a candle of understanding in thine heart, which shall not be put out till the things be performed which thou shalt begin to write. So it ain't going nowhere. And when thou hast done some things, shalt thou publish, some things shalt thou show secretly. Hey, clued in, clued out. show secretly to the wise. Tomorrow this hour shalt thou begin to write, secretly to the wise. See? Clued in, clued out. Gonna get more. Then I went forth as he commanded and gathered all the people together and said, hear these words, O Israel. Wait. Is he saying, hear these words, O universal nations of the world? No. Hear these words, O Israel. Our fathers at the beginning were strangers in Egypt, from whence they were delivered. See, passed under the rod, through the water. None of the other nations did that. None. And received the law of life, which they kept not. They were bad clue solvers, which ye also have transgressed after them. Continuous bad clue solvers. Then was the land, even the land of Zion, parted among you by lot. But your fathers and ye yourselves have done unrighteousness and have not kept the ways which the highest commanded you. And forasmuch as he is a righteous judge, he took from you in time the thing that he had given you. And now are ye here, and your brethren among you. Therefore, if so be that ye will subdue your own understandings, stop making up shit you can't prove and that you think you want, because that's not what it is. Therefore, so be that you will subdue your own understanding and reform your hearts, ye shall be kept alive, and after death ye shall obtain mercy. And you don't get no mercy if you keep trying to make up stuff that you know you ain't going to get because you can't prove it. For after death shall the judgment come, when we shall live again, and then shall the names of the righteous be manifest, and the works of the ungodly shall be declared. Let no man therefore come unto me now, nor seek after me these 40 days. So I took the 5 men as he commanded me, and we went into the field, representative of the world, and remained there. And the next day, behold, a voice called me, saying, Esdras, open thy mouth and drink that I give thee to drink. Then opened my mouth, and behold, he reached me a full cup, which was full, as it were, with the water, but the color of it was like fire. Ooh. Oh, Lord, Yahawashi. And I took it and drank it, and when I had drunk it, my heart uttered understanding, and wisdom grew in my breast, for my spirit strengthened my memory. Hello. And my mouth was open and shut no more. The highest gave me understanding. Now, I say this all the time. I was introduced to the truth by men who have a mantle that was put on them decades ago. They are worthy of admiration because of that, and their stick-to-itness to the scriptures and the sacred name. Them men, we know, came out of that One West environment, branched off into being GMS. The others, the Most High led them in another direction. But the introduction of what we understand as being the accurate truth came out of the GMS One West group. Point blank, period. That's fine. But after introduction and coaching and similitudes and multitudes of progressive training in lessons to speak to the truth, eating the whole roll, not part of it, makes the difference. But then once you start to walk successfully in this truth and begin to jog and then run swiftly, the highest gave me understanding unto the 5 men, and they wrote the wonderful visions of the night that were told, which they knew not. And they sat 40 days, and they wrote in the day, And at night they ate bread. The bread they ate is the bread of life, the truth. They contemplated what they were given to write and understand. Okay? As for me, I spake in the day, and I held not my tongue by night. So Ezra was not only speaking in the day about what they were going to write, and that Yahawashi gave him, but at night he talked to them about what it is that they did write in terms of getting a full understanding. See, that's how you have a spiritual, mature graduation in the truth. Like Father always says, you want to graduate to regenerate. Okay? Just so you know. Shalom. Okay. And in 40 days they wrote Shalaki. As for me, I spoke in the day, and I held not my tongue by night. In 40 days they wrote 204 books. And it came to pass, when the 40 days were filled, that the highest spake, saying, the first that thou hast written, publish openly, distribute them openly, that the worthy and the unworthy may read. Distribute openly, that the clued in and the clued out may read. You see what I mean? Clued in and clued out. If you're worthy, you should be clued in. If you start proving that you're not worthy, you will be clued out. But that's all predestined. And we already discussed in the last lesson how you are worthy and unworthy, and I did it in the beginning of the commentary about being clued in and clued out. It's real simple. You know how it is. If you think that Saturdays, if you stuck on Saturdays sundown, Friday sundown to Saturday sundown is the Sabbath, that shows that your thinking and your understanding is clued out, not clued in. Okay. If you're thinking that you are going to drag the wicked, toxic system that is here and the laws that are attached to it into the new covenant, the new kingdom, then you got to be in the line of the clued out, of the unworthy, because it doesn't match up with what you're transferring to. Your transfiguration, your regeneration, your conversion, your upgrade doesn't match up with dragging that stuff in. It's not allowed. Corruption can inherit incorruption. If you don't get that and you think you're going to drag in the laws of this system that's corrupt and built this way, then you got to be clued out. You got to be what's called in the line of the unworthy, where he said here in 45, and it came to pass when the 40 days were filled that the highest spoke, that's Yahawah, saying through Yahawashi, the first that thou hast written, publish openly, that the worthy and the unworthy may read it. But keep the 70 last, that thou mayest deliver them only to such as be wise among the people. So there's 70 that are left that are not associated with the worthy and the unworthy, but they're associated with the wise. What's the difference between being wise and being worthy and unworthy? Do you know? Well, he's going to explain it. There we go. For in them is the spring of understanding, the fountain of wisdom, and the stream of knowledge. The spring of understanding. What is a spring? A spring is a fresh water flowing water system that is continuously cleansed, continuously being cleansed. A stream, a what stream? It says a spring of understanding. So that spring of understanding is that fresh stream of knowledge, that maturity, that spiritual maturity, unblocked spiritual unblocked spiritually, that flow, that's that spring of understanding, a fountain of wisdom, meaning that spring that's flowing is flowing into a fountain, a pool, a reservoir of wisdom, a fountain of wisdom, a reservoir of wisdom that you can go and draw from Yahawashi, Bahasham, Yahawashi. And the stream of knowledge, which means that fountain is pouring out streams of knowledge that allow you, of those 70 books, to graduate, to regenerate, and accept the upgrade of becoming sons and daughters of Yahawah, the priest in the kingdom that deal with the rulership, that are part of the rulership. And the rest of those nations that are salvaged, you don't touch them. You don't want them. And our women, our Israelite women, they will be beyond what you can imagine, beautiful than anything you've ever could imagine in your entire life. Even in our fallen state, if you strip the Israelite woman from the crap that is intoxifying them, because judgment starts first in the house of Israel. The rudiments and the elements of the stuff that they wear, being in the fallen state in Babylon, if you just take that off of them, dunk them in the fountain, right, of wisdom, and let the streams of knowledge wash that shit off of them. They're more beautiful than any other nations. They're much more beautiful than any other nations. They're beautiful than any of the other nations, even with that crap all over them. But they're not going to have that problem. They're not going to have any problem when they come into the new covenant, new kingdom. You won't even be looking at any of those other women in the other nations. You won't even have it in your mindset, because only the Israelite woman can have her reproach removed. The rest of the women of the nations can't have no reproach removed. They're made that way. You can't remove the reproach from a Moabite woman. Their washpot, their activity, born through what? Lot's daughters doing something incestuous to him. Ammon and Moab. You can't remove that reproach. The Most High made them that way. He's not removing any reproach so you can have one of them or any of them. The same thing for the Hamite woman. You can't remove no reproach from her. The Canaanite was already told you can't do nothing with that. That's their women. And you know you ain't getting none of the goddamn Edomites. They're not even going to be around after a certain period of time. Their approach can't be removed. Says there's no repentance for them. It goes for the women too. But our women? Now, is the Father going to give you a multitude of them? I don't have that answer. It doesn't ring in my spirit to say that that's going to happen, because it wasn't that way from the beginning. When we go back to the beginning, we go back to the way that we were before the fall. And when we go back to the way before the fall, before even Adam had his woman made for him from his soul, Adam saw plenty of those other women in the garden that was with them other nations. He didn't get any of them. Even before he fell. And we're going back over the fall of the wall. We're going back before that. That's what it's about in terms of the spring of understanding, the fountain of wisdom, and the stream of knowledge. We're going back to perfect. We're going back to be the way the Most High, when he brought all those spirits into existence, including Yahawashi, and he placed every soul in each spirit that went into a mass formation of a body, before that body was formed, those spirits and the souls that he created were made to purpose. Nobody fell yet. There was no fallen situation yet. And we won't have any fallen situation in the new covenant, in the new kingdom. No fallen people in the new covenant, new kingdom. The ones that are fallen will be outside of the temple, right? It says that what's a person that's outside the temple? You know what they're called. I don't even need to tell you. Profane. Those profane people, they're going to be working. Salvaged, slavery in the gardens out there. You ain't going to be dealing with them in a righteous manner, or definitely not in an unrighteous manner. They can't be dipped in. They can't experience the spring of understanding. They cannot be dipped in the fountain of wisdom and cleaned with the stream of knowledge. They cannot. So you can't have them. But our Israelite women will be, and our Israelite men will be, and our Israelite children will be. And however the Father decides to put that into perspective and put that back into existence. Because the Yahawah, Bahasham Yahawashi, will bring back the stars of heaven in the sand of the sea. Because all Israel will be saved. He's going to bring them back. Not us. Because he's Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. And if you are of the wise, predestined to be of the wise, this will be able to reign and ring within your spirit. And you will know that for in them is the spring of understanding. Remember? Right? What's supposed to be your stability of the time? What? Wisdom, knowledge, and is that supposed to be the stability of your time? Well, this is what it's talking about. For in them is a spring of understanding, the fountain of wisdom, and the stream of knowledge, and I did so. Kohlo Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi Bahasham Kadosh Rekha Yasharala Yahawah Barakatha Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi Shalaki Yahawah for my sins as I cry. Babakasha Yahawah for all the time. Babakasha Yahawah for your mercy every time. Kohlo Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. Shalaki. Shalom. Shalom. I sure hope everybody enjoyed this lesson.